Alright, time for an update. This will probably be one of my last updates for a while because I'm going to be getting on a plane on the 9th of October to go to England, crippled and all. But I wanted to go over a few things, actually, that I've been thinking about for a while, things that I didn't get to really talk about, you know, from my trip and everything. So this is going to be like a talk video. The biggest thing was learning to live in this body is very weird. It's very strange. I guess those who would most understand are those who have lost a tremendous amount of weight and know what kind of a strange transformation that you go through, because I often will walk by a mirror or see my reflection in the mall as I'm passing a store, and I, for a split second, think, who is that? Who's that person? And then I realize that it's me, and it's really strange. And I'm saying these things because one day I want to look back on them and I want to remember what a strange feeling it was just to, like, come into a completely different body. Even though I'm really hard on myself and I feel like my body is so deformed and has so many flaws. But I'm reminded constantly that there aren't many women out there who don't think that their body is flawed in some way, shape, or form. But I still have the fat girl mentality. Well, and according to my BMI and the doctors, I still am obese. Well, no, I went down to just overweight because my BMI is 29.1. So I'm just officially overweight. So I'm no longer obese anymore. But when I got on the plane to go to my grandfather's funeral, I panicked the whole time. As stupid as that sounds. I walked on the plane and I just kept thinking, what if I don't fit? Because the last time I'd been on a plane, I not only needed an extension, but it was a pretty tight fit. And I sat down in the airplane, and not only did I fit, but my two fat hands went beside me and the chair, and I laughed. I just laughed, and I remember my mom turning to me and saying, "What are you laughing at?" And I just said, "Nothing." And I was just happy inside because I realized it wasn't me anymore. It wasn't me. Not being the old me is taking some time to get used to. I have to learn to appreciate things about me now that I couldn't do before, and be happy even though I still feel like I'm flawed, you know? There were things that nobody really talks about when they're that size. Things like not being able to tie your shoes. You can't just bend over and tie your shoes. You can't sit in a chair and bend over and tie your shoes. You have to strategically place yourself in a situation where you're able to tie your shoes. For me, it was sitting on the edge of my bed and kind of awkwardly pulling my leg up and trying to slip on the shoes. And that's why you see a lot of big people who wear slip-ons. They don't really tie their shoes or anything. And I remember thinking one of the first things I could not wait to do was cross my legs. Because as a woman, I desired to be feminine, and I wanted to be able to look feminine and to be able to cross my legs, and I couldn't. And I reached that goal, obviously. And then my next goal was to be able to do this, which may seem silly to some of you people, you out there who don't really understand. But bringing your knees up to your chest like this was virtually impossible. You know, this was impossible. I wouldn't have been able to do it, let alone talk to you at the same time. You know, it's just, it was a goal of mine. As silly as it sounds. So again, it's like, it's weird. It's really weird. And I am so afraid that, that the possibility of, being that person again that I was for so many years, trapped inside a body that I didn't feel like was mine, will somehow creep back up. And, it's something that I don't want to think about. But you know what? It's healthy to think about that. You have to. And for those people who have 50 pounds to lose, that goal is so obtainable. And it is so possible. Don't let yourself get to the point where you can no longer help yourself. Don't let yourself get to the point where you can't tie your shoes, you can't cross your legs, or that you're ashamed to go out into public. Appreciate your movability and the things that you can do, because it seemed like overnight it just happened and I wasn't able to. Several people at the funeral did not recognize me. In fact, my uncle held out his hand to shake mine. And I thought he was joking. And I was like, what are you doing, John? Give me a hug, you know. And I give him a hug, and it was a strange hug. And I moved on, and then I realized sitting there, as he was looking at me, he didn't know who I was. And then it hit him. And it must have been, I don't know, 5 minutes after the hug. He just looked at me and he said, April? I said, yeah. He's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know who you were. Which was a strange feeling. I was like, okay, I know I've changed, but you wouldn't think that you would change so much that your own family members wouldn't recognize you. And he just saw me a year ago. But I'm happy he didn't recognize me. Because, again, there's nothing in me at all who desires to be anything like the girl that went into surgery a year ago. A little more than a year ago. And although a lot of bad has come, I've lost a lot of my hair. It's no longer blonde. I don't like having short hair. Don't like having thin hair. I don't like the fact that when I eat it hurts. I don't like the fact that I can't eat much. But you know what? Sometimes you have to give up things in order to gain a lot. And I did that. And now I'm getting stupid and emotional over it. But bariatric surgery is not for everybody. And it's definitely not something that I see people doing it when they've only have, 50 pounds to lose, or maybe 100. And I think, don't do that. Because you can still do it. But, if you feel like it is the absolute last hope, then do it and embrace it. And be willing to change yourself. body, mind, heart, and soul. And say goodbye to all the old things. Because there are good things that happen. But there's a lot of change. And, I'm constantly reminded. I'm going to stop a second.